Hey guys, Joe here. So I want to just talk about a little mindset shift that I've personally had. Maybe it'll help you. It's been helping me. So the way it used to work, there was really no planning within my business, especially with the former business, just because we were doing it so long, and then like I just kind of took it for granted, and nothing really changed. Right? No better, no worse. But wasn't really acceptable. It should have been much better looking back. I probably, because I didn't like change my mindset, I was probably left about $1 million a year on the table, like not exaggerating, which is kind of disgusting to think about. But so what I started doing now, the former way was, we go in, I start my day, what fires are there, how do I put them out, and then if I have time, like I'll work on the business. If I feel like it, if not, then I just do something else, right? And so what changed now is that because this business is brand new, like we just hit a year I registered the business in like June or July or something like that, but we really didn't get started, we registered in June, and we really didn't get started with trying to add new customers till like, I don't know, probably like July, August, something like that. And so like we came up to a year, and like we're rapidly growing, and so like I'm like, how are we basically going to survive next year? Because the amount that we grew this year, I don't think anyone planned for that. And honestly, it was under my goals, but my goals are usually pretty lofty. And so I'm like, everything now is like, how are we going to survive next year if we, when we double our business, right? And so that's been the biggest mindset shift, is taking me away from like that day to now it's like 6 months to a year in advance, right? And what's really been helping is that if I was only focusing on today, I would be doing minor things, right? It's kind of like it's almost like dominoes, it feels like, where if I, was fixing the problems of today, I'm kind of knocking over the first domino. But the problem is like the one domino is like a foot away from the rest of them. So I'm only taking care of that one problem, right? Whereas now it's kind of like I'm skipping, it feels like I'm skipping the like first 10 dominoes, and I'm getting to the like, into the middle of this pack where they're all kind of really close together. And what's happening now is, because I'm knocking over that one domino, it's taking a lot of things out that I wasn't even expecting. Because it's like, I was thinking of, okay, for me, with the supply side, there's a few things. One, where are we putting all this shit? Because it's not like for me before, where we just, we collect the deposit, we get the materials, we install the job, and then we just keep on repeating that. Now it's like, I need a shit ton of material on the ground for all these customers. And like, for next year, right now I just say have maybe 500-600 panels worth of vinyl, or whatever happens to be. Well, it's more than that, but 500-600 panels of vinyl before it's been made on the ground, plus all the other shit, like all the orders that we had already put together. And then next year it's like, we'll probably need about 2,000 panels ready to go, not including all the orders that we're putting together, right? And so it's like, one, where do we put that shit? Two, like right now we're using 3 different rails, so I'm like, how do we get down to 2 rails instead, to kind of start, limiting the amount of inventory we have on hand, right? And then my mind's like, well, where are we putting all these orders? Because if we're averaging like, 6, this time of year is probably like 6 orders a day, somewhere around there. How do we get to 15 and 20 orders a day when the average pallet is like, it's basically about 1.5 pallets for each one. So right now on a daily basis, we're producing just say 9-10 pallets worth of material. But next year, realistically, we're probably going to end up having between, on the low side 15, but on the high side probably 30, right? So we're going from 9 to 30 is where my head is. So it's like 3.5 times more, right? And so, and then that also brings in a problem of like, okay, what about the inventory for the hardware, and what about this, what about this, what about this? And then it's also like, okay, if we're doing that, then what happens like for the productivity, for the production team, what does that look like, right? And so what's happening is, instead of solving for one problem, because I'm focusing on the future and where I'm headed, it's no longer one issue or one roadblock that I'm kind of solving for. Now it's like, it feels like there's probably 10 to 15 different hurdles that I'm working on. So, and it's been really helpful, because I think what's happening, and I have a lot of experience with like developing software, not on my own personal, like me not developing it, but having other people do it. But what happens is, if I because I'm building the software, or I was building the software for my own company, for the the previous fence company. And so what was happening is, it's like, here's the things I want done, and then every day, or whenever it happened, it's like, oh, I wish it had this. So then I'm like, okay, programmer, like, do this for me. And then something else would pop up, and I would say, all right, can you do this? And he's like, well, in order to do that, we need to make these changes now to the shit that you already told me to do. And what was happening is, there was like double and triple the amount of work getting that needed to be like done, because a lot of stuff was getting redone, right? And the same thing would happen to me in this, because or even worse, if I wasn't thinking of that, then what's going to end up happening is, in 6 months, when we go from 9 pallets a day to like 25, 30 pallets a day, I wouldn't even be prepared for it, right? And it would be like, at that point, what would have been a little fire that I'm dealing with now is like a forest fire at that point, and it would be too late to even remotely fix it. And then also, because I'm thinking of the 6 months and a year along the line, is like, okay, how does it look like just packaging these orders? So then that kind of determines what the warehouse space looks like as well. So then when we were planning for that, instead of just moving shit in different areas, now it's like, okay, we're doing it here, but also, like, first we need to figure out that, okay, I think that we're going to be packaging the orders this way, but then I'm not fully sure if that's going to work, but we have to at least try that. So that's what we're doing now, is we move the ship where we think it's going to be, and then we're going to start testing that out. We're not going to like just do what we normally do for the next 4 or 5 months, and then hoping that this production level 2 is actually going to work for us. So now what we're going to start doing is doing the production level 2 now, even though we don't need to make sure that we're ready for it. And if not, we can keep on testing and refining and everything that we do. And what's ended up happening is, we're just going to be a lot more efficient with our space and our time that we do this, which is going to allow us to make more money and stay in hopefully the same location. I really don't want to stay in a location, but financially it's a smarter decision. It's less moving, because to move the entire warehouse, like, I don't even want to think about that. But I also would rather move it with the shit that we have now, compared to all the crap that we're going to have down the line. So hopefully this helps in some sort of way. If it does, great. If not, sorry for wasting your time, but it's just what's kind of going through my head. And honestly, like I said before, it's a way for me to start documenting this process, so I can kind of go back and watch this stuff, and it's like, wow, this is what I went through. But hopefully help someone. But anyway, hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will talk to you soon.